What's up, everybody? Skylar here, creator of Session Zero Heroes and most of the shows that we feature, as well as the game master for Benders and Brews, Criminals of Isla Numus, and some of our one-shot series. Wow, what an intro. Anyways, I wanted to take a moment to chat with you about things moving forward for the channel and what content we're excited to release throughout the rest of 2024. Firstly, I have some good news and some maybe not so good news. Which would you like to hear first? Oh, right. No, this isn't live. This is a podcast. Okay, sorry. We'll start off with the good news. Benders and Brews Season 3 is on its way, and to top that off, we're going to be releasing it earlier than we normally would. That's right. Typically, we release seasons of Benders and Brews as close to April 28th as possible, since it aligns with the day that the Avatar Day episode of Avatar: The Last Airbender was released. And we thought that was kind of a fun, cheeky reference there, and a way for us to pay a little bit of homage to the original series that inspired our show. But this year, there's something big happening surrounding the Avatar: The Last Airbender that we want to focus on and be a part of, and that is the live-action Netflix series. Of course, we don't know a whole lot about it aside from the sneak peeks and trailers that they've offered us so far, but we're excited for it nonetheless, and we're excited to take part in the hopefully eruption of content that the Avatar: The Last Airbender team is planning to bring our way in the future. So, in order to take part in that community development, we're planning on releasing this little announcement episode today, which is followed by our recap episode, which will cover where we are and, everything all the way from back to season 1 through season 2, with all the important highlights to kind of get you back into the story and how far we've come. And that will air on February 22nd, which is the same day that the live action show goes, live. Then, the very next week, on February 29th, we'll be airing the titular Session Zero of Benders and Brews Season 3, along with the first actual episode of Season 3. So, you can see where the gang heads off to, following their escape from the ex-rescue team squadron facility, being tailed by the Fire Nation nemesis, General Wang Long. And I am super excited to start sharing the story with you, and I'll tell you right now that we've already recorded episode 1 and things have already gone completely off the rails. With that being said, it's time to go into the less great news. With the close of Benders and Brews Season 3, which we estimate will be probably sometime in August of 2024, this will also be the end of our Benders and Brews series. I know it's a bummer, but due to some life and scheduling changes amongst our players, we just can't find a way to continue the series and do the amazing stories that we've created thus far justice without leaving people out. And those are people that have done so much to make these amazing characters that they've developed and become so beloved by you. So we don't want to do that just for the sake of progression. We want to close out stories in a natural and awesome way. We feel that rather than try and push the series without these characters, something we feel like would honestly harm more than it helps, we'd rather wrap up their tale of these 4 mischievous teens and their tea shop and close their stories out. I know it's incredibly bittersweet, but I hope that we can do them justice with the story that we tell and the way we close it out. So be sure to tune in for the final season and enjoy the finale for our intrepid crew. Now, I want to emphasize that this does not mean that we'll be closing out Session Zero Heroes podcast. We still plan to continue to write, record, and post new episodes of other series and one-shots moving forward. And heck, we might even do Avatar Legend one-shots, and maybe we'll even bring back some of the old characters from Benders and Brews. Who knows? With that tough announcement out of the way, I want to lead into an opportunity that will involve you. We want to have a post-series Q&A with myself and the amazing cast of Benders and Brews to answer any of your questions you might have about the story or the characters and just everything in between. So all you have to do is send your questions in, and we'll sit down and do an episode where we will answer and discuss the questions you pose to us. So you can send those questions by message on any of our social media platforms: Facebook, X, Instagram, Discord, or you can send us an email at szhpodcast@gmail.com. That's the letters SZH, as in Session Zero Heroes, podcast@gmail.com. And it'll be a great time to do this first ever Q&A session on the channel, and I'm really excited to hear your questions because I'm sure there have been things along the way that you've been curious about, or maybe wonder where things will go wherever things leave off at the end of the season. And that's the kind of stuff that we want to answer, and hopefully be able to answer. I'm going to push everybody to kind of do their best to really like think through their answers and give you some closure, hopefully, on some of the characters or some explanation on some of the directions that they went. Then looking even deeper into the future with our current plans for the channel. So we have Criminals of Isla Numus, which is our Dungeons and Dragons 5th edition podcast. That will be taking a break after our most recent episode, which is episode 8. And this aired on the 15th of February in order to put focus on season 3 of Benders and Brews. But never fear if you're a big fan of Criminals of Isla Numus, because it will be making a return after we conclude Benders and Brews season 3 and the Q&A episode. So we know episode 8 is kind of a weird spot to end on. Usually it's like a 12 episode season, especially with our Benders and Brews series. That's kind of what we've had as the standard. But it's going to close out right at the end of the Minotaur race. So hopefully it'll be kind of like less of a cliffhanger that you had to sit on for a huge amount of time and a little bit more closure than we normally leave at the end of a season. We also have some awesome one-shots headed your way as well. We have a total currently of 3 one-shots officially planned for 2024 that we're currently working on, with 1 or 2 additional ones that we're discussing right now. Our plan is to do a one-shot of Escape from Dino Island, which was created by Sam Tung and Sam Roberts. 2 Sams, how cool is that? And uses the Powered by the Apocalypse TTRPG system. This was one that I wrote, or rather, they wrote a lot of the stuff for it when they wrote the purchasable Escape from Dino Island kind of TTRPG setup. It's really meant to be a one-shot, and it's all pretty heavily written for you. There's just some like blanks that you have to fill in, and you can kind of add to it as you want, which is what I did. So I wrote this one. I'll be running it with some brand new voices on the channel, I hope. And I couldn't be more excited for it, because I know I grew up a big fan of dinosaurs, and one of my first career paths that I thought I was going to get into as a kid was being an archaeologist. So it's definitely dear to my heart, and I'm excited to bring in some interesting new voices for you to listen to, and who knows what kind of cool stories we're going to tell with that. You'll know when you tune in to find out once we post it. So keep that in mind. The next one shot that we've got planned is based in the post-apocalyptic world of Fallout, which we are excited to air alongside the Amazon Fallout series. Weird coincidence there. Once again, I'll be in charge of this short series as my players venture into the harrowing and dangerous worlds of the apocalypse. Now, I won't say too much, but I will say, or hint at, the fact that I have a special throwback in there that harkens back to the first podcast I, Skylar, ever created, which is called The Apocalypse Bros. Now, that podcast is kind of dead and gone at this point. You can go check it out if you want. You can find it everywhere that podcasts can be found. It was created during and very focused on COVID and the whole pandemic surrounding that in kind of near 2021, 22 kind of area. So there's some references in there that are a little bit dated back to that time, but it is an entertaining show, and we had a lot of fun making it. And you're going to hear a lot more about the Apocalypse Bros within the Fallout series in the most interesting way possible, and I'll do a lot more explaining on that once we actually get into the Fallout one-shot. So keep that in mind and look forward to that. Finally, our last officially planned one-shot currently will be another Monster of the Week series, which I know a lot of people really enjoyed. So I'm excited to do another one, the story of which is completely a mystery to me, because I will not be running it. How great is that? A good friend of mine, Nate, who I heard talk pretty passionately about this, his love for Monster of the Week and the stories you can tell within it. He was talking to me, and I convinced him to host a one-shot for the podcast. I say convinced him as if he wasn't more than happy to do it. So I'm incredibly excited, not only to get a chance to play, which isn't something I always get to do very often, but also to see an exciting story unfold. So we'll be keeping with normal tradition of hosting a Monster of the Week one-shot around Halloween to really get the spooky vibes flowing. So I'm very excited about that, and I hope you are too. I know, like I said, we had a lot of feedback saying they loved the Monster of the Week stuff. It is a fantastic system, incredibly fun, so much versatility, and so much that you can make out of it. It's really great. So, as mentioned, there'll be other one-shots that we have in the work. It's really just simply a matter of working to kind of determine the logistics of getting them written and recorded and edited in time, and along with the other content that we already have planned. But whatever the case, we'll keep you guys updated on any future updates and plans that we have as far as getting those out. So, to close things out, I want to personally say a massive thank you to all of the amazing people that have been involved up until this point with Benders and Brews especially. Benders and Brews was the show that really started it all for our channel. I mean, we weren't even Session Zero Heroes until this, like around July of this last year, where we switched over to add in, a little bit more versatility with our shows. It started out as just simply Benders and Brews, an Avatar Legends actual play podcast. And I'm still to this day finding little text blurbs and descriptions that I have to go in and change now that still say Benders and Brews and Avatar Legends podcast as our podcast name. And we've had such an amazing vocal cast, and I'm talking the players, absolutely fantastic. They've done a great job of playing their characters, but outside of that, we had a variety of NPC characters, all of whom are credited to their respective vocal cast if you check the episode descriptions, and they just did such an amazing job. Oh my gosh, truly amazing. They got me recordings in a timely manner. They sent in, obviously they had to go through a whole audition process. They made sure to do high quality audio. They just really took our stories and episodes to the next level. So if you are somebody that did voice one of the NPC characters that we had in the Benders and Brews series, seriously, thank you. You did an incredibly amazing job. And I know I've already kind of left reviews and stuff for all of you to kind of help you out and whatever it is that you guys want to do. But if you ever need references or anything like that, please don't hesitate to reach out to me. I would be more than happy to recommend you. Additionally, on top of our amazing voice talent, we had some incredible artists that shared their talents with us for character art, for cover art, and music. And I just want to say another massive thank you. Again, they're credited in the descriptions. Please check them out. If you ever are in need of character art, cover art, music, all that kind of stuff, we usually go through Fiverr. And so all of those can be linked and listed in there. So you can go find that same person and say, hey, I love what you did on the Benders and Brews podcast series. I would love to get music from you or artwork from you or whatever the case as well. So definitely keep an eye on that, because our show would not be as eye-catching and engaging if it weren't for the amazing work that they created in various aspects of the show. And personally, I don't have the ability to make and accomplish those kind of feats. I'm not musically inclined. I'm not artistically inclined in that sense. So thank you guys so much. If you're one of the artists musically or drawing and character creation, thank you so much for your work. So if you're an artist or a voice talent that wants to work with us that hasn't worked with us up until the past, we'd love to hear from you, and we would love to try to find a place for you on our channel. You could where you can showcase your talents, whether that be creating artwork for the shows that we do and the series that we do, or if you want to do voice acting for NPCs or something along those lines. We'd love all of that possibilities, and we'd love to get people involved. So if you want to reach out to us with one of those aforementioned socials, Facebook, X, Instagram, Discord, or if you want to hit us up on our email, again, that's szhpodcast@gmail.com. We'd love to hear from you, and we would love to try to find a place for you on our show. I'm sure we can. Also, if you're an editor, we would love to get in contact with you, maybe hopefully pull a little bit of the workload off of some of our editing team, which at the moment is mostly me, and hopefully split that up and get that all figured out as well. I know editing's a lot of work. Trust me, I know. So if you are an audio engineer of any kind or have some experience with podcast editing, I'd love to hear from you, and maybe we can work something out there as well. Next, I want to make a special shout out to the amazing groups and podcasts that have collaborated with us in any and every way possible, whether that be sharing our ads on their shows or even doing one-shots and joining us for other TTRPG content. We are so lucky to have such an amazing community to partner with, and we want to collaborate more, or at least as much as time would allow. Unfortunately, life and time can get quite hectic, especially when this is something that you do on the side as kind of a hobby. It's not necessarily a company that we're running to make the podcast content for Session Zero Heroes. So, within understanding, we would love to find new ways to partner with other TTRPG creators and find ways to collaborate in that sense. So thank you for all of the amazing ones that have invested their time with us so far. And if you're out there and you're listening to this and you also run a TTRPG podcast, we would love to hear from you as well, and hopefully find an opportunity to collaborate. I wouldn't be doing Session Zero Heroes justice if I didn't switch it up and turn that into a call to action to all the TTRPG and gaming related podcast creators out there that are hopefully listening, that if you would like to find a way to collaborate with Session Zero Heroes, do not hesitate to reach out to us on the aforementioned socials or by email at szhpodcast@gmail.com. And finally, and hopefully I've said the email enough that everybody gets it. But finally, and lastly, but certainly not leastly, I want to thank you. That's right, you, the person who's listening to this episode right now. I'm going to fill you in on a little secret. So listen, come in close and listen. Okay, here we go. I'm not going to do like an ASMR thing. Do you know why we put all this work of writing exciting stories and setting up all the equipment and recording the episodes and tiring away for hours editing the content that we make and diligently posting on our schedule? Because of you. You're the reason that we do all that work. You and all the others who enjoy our show and love to listen to our goofy antics and clever characters we create, right? Sure, we could all sit down around the table and we could create incredible stories filled with adventure, comedy, and horror and enjoy it as it is between ourselves, those of us that are playing and running it. But we put in that extra amount of work so that we can share it with you. And we see you listening. And we want to express how much we appreciate it. So seriously, thank you so much for choosing to listen to our show and interact within the community we're creating and participating in ourselves. We really appreciate it. And if it weren't for you listening, we wouldn't have a reason to do all of what we do. So seriously, thank you so much. With that being said, I have an incredibly small request for you, and I promise I won't ask anything crazy, but if you could take a quick moment out of your day and share the show, the Session Zero Heroes, with others in your life that love TTRPGs and actual play podcasts, that would be so appreciated. Truly, as much as we love doing what we do, it takes a lot of time and work to do it. So when you share the show or comment on our posts or whatever the case, it is an indescribable amount of positivity in our lives that breaks through all of that exhaustion and stress of that work to see that people are listening and to see people interacting with us. So if you have a moment, it would mean so much to have you share our show with others that you think would love it as well. We're not asking you to spam anybody or anything like that. Just if you know somebody that would enjoy the show, it would mean so much to us to have you share it with them. Also, don't hesitate to chat with us on socials, especially Discord. It's a lot easier in there. You know, our group, as well as other amazing listeners, we all love chatting about TTRPGs and gaming in general. We're all like big fans of all kinds of tabletop games. So we would love to share ideas and stories and have you share ideas and stories about the games that you're playing. And, you know, we're more than happy to answer questions. And sometimes we have questions that we'd love to have the community answer. And so we would love to have you involved in our community. So don't hesitate to reach out on the aforementioned socials. Just stop on by, chat with us. We would love to hear from you. And we'd love to have you be a part of our community that we're developing. With that being said, I'm going to close out this mini announcement episode. Although the announcement wasn't so mini, I digress. Thank you again for everything that you do. Stay curious, stay heroic until we roll again.